Now here's Emer O'Kelly with a summary of the day's main news stories.
The Taoiseach has told the Dáil that Article 1 of the Anglo-Irish Agreement cannot be changed without the consent of the British government. Mr Haughey was replying to questions about his previous statements that the article was in conflict with the Constitution. The new Lasceann Comhairle of the Dáil is Mr Jim Tunney of Fianna Fáil. In a vote this afternoon, he defeated the Fine Gael nominee Mr Paddy Hart by 79 votes to 75. The IRA say they planted the bomb which exploded at a British Army base in West Germany last night, injuring 31 people.
Tomorrow, the boat show opens at the RDS, and to help put you in the mood, Newstime is taking to the sea in small boats. They're called Waterwags, and this year the association celebrates its 100th birthday. Peter McNiff.
When Waterwags first put to sea, there were people who said they wouldn't last. Too small, too frail, they said. That was a century ago. Many other dinghy classes have been sailed and sunk since. But the Waterwag, a harmless remnant of Empire days, sails on still, in foreign ports like Hong Kong, Argentina, Australia, India, Brazil, Sri Lanka, the Seychelles, and here in Dunleary. It was designed by a County Dublin lawyer, Thomas Middleton, with the aim of opening up sailing to the less well-off. The wag, he said, would be cheap, lively, and wet. Floating coffins, more like, said the sages at the waterside. Middleton was proved right. The first wag sold at 15 to 25 pounds, complete with sails. And apart from one slight change, the canoe end was redesigned to its present flat or transom shape, the tradition has stayed. And that's one of the survivors from the old days, an old lady now in her 90s. To this day, the Waterwags are still made from wood along strictly measured traditional lines. Clinker built is the phrase denoting the overlapping of planks on the timbered frames. For their centenary celebrations, Derek Payne of Greystones was commissioned to build the latest addition to the Dunleary fleet. Renowned for his great woodworking skills, this is the second wag he's managed to build in his spare time. Hour upon hour has gone into his labours.
It's a traditional way, and it's a traditional boat, very pretty boat.
Would you not rather just see it done in fiberglass overnight?
No, it wouldn't be the same at all. That's why they've survived, because they've kept them as they were originally, way back at the turn of the century.
What about the people who own them? Because, all right, the turn of the century we're talking about, but there's a lot of maintenance every season on a wooden boat.
Not really. It depends on the individual. If they look after the boat, varnish it properly, clean it out, wash it down with fresh water, and keep it dry and under cover, they won't have any great maintenance to do. The availability of timber, it's very difficult to get the Canadian silver spruce and oak and things like that. You've got to get clear wood. It mustn't have cracks or shakes in it.
Very difficult thing to do in this day and age.
It is, and the timber is so expensive that you've got to have good timber. You can't afford any waste than you'd normally have, because you're cutting planks for a 14-foot boat out of 10-inch wide boards, so that you have a lot of wastage.
And what about the plans for a boat like that? Are they difficult to come by?
No, there are several copies. The original plans, I have a copy of them, and I believe there are a number of other copies, so there's no problem with regard to building them. I also have the original molds, so that I'm quite certain that the boat measures up to specifications.
Will a boat, a new boat, sail faster than, or has it a lot to do with the helmsman as well, do you think?
With the Waterwags, I believe it has a lot to do with the crew, the positioning of the crew and the balancing of the boat. Some of the old boats are sailed by very skillful elderly gentlemen.
Dr. Alf Delaney is the man he's referring to, one of several grey-haired sailors in the WAG Association who rarely miss a chance to compete when the season is open. That's the kind of sailing the WAG was intended for, not too fast, not too competitive, and fun for all ages. That's Miss Sheila Armstrong, now in her 70s, who until recently provided formidable opposition at the helm of her own WAG. Launch day for the fleet's latest edition, the Eva. President of the WAG class, Seymour Creswell, and his wife stepped down for the ceremony.
I'd like to thank the committee of the Waterwags for asking me to build this boat, and particularly so in view of the fact that it was in celebration of the Centenary. I hope whoever becomes the eventual owner has many years of successful sailing, and that the boat will be here in maybe 80 years' time, like most of the present fleet, and sailing competitively. Thank you.
As president of the Waterwags, I have great pleasure in accepting on behalf of all members, male and female, this beautiful WAG which has been built by Derek Payne. I've seen WAGs in all sorts of conditions, but this is quite the most beautiful boat I've seen for a very long time. I accept her with our heartfelt thanks to Derek Payne. And now perhaps if my wife would come forward and christen this vessel.
I named this boat Eva, which is what the first WAG was called, Eva. And good luck to her and all who sail.
Tradition is the word most bandied about by anyone associated with the WAG. Former Olympic helmsman Johnny Hooper cut his teeth in WAGs.
Well, it's essentially tradition, I suppose. It's been going for 80 or 90 years or more. There's always been a great feeling of pride in this area in having the Waterwags.
Well, there's something about wooden construction that's very attractive. You've got the contrast to the wood, particularly in the WAGs where the specification is very rigid. And you get the mahogany top side, and then the pale, originally it was yellow pine, and it's now silver spruce, and oak ribs and that sort of thing. And it makes it very attractive, and it's a bit of furniture. Yeah, and we look after it in the winter time. We don't take it actually in the drawing room, but we give it good care.
Well, not everybody really wants to have a boat like this. That's half the problem. We're actually seeking members, but if anybody's interested in wooden boats, old boats, and the ones that give good racing are all the same. It's very welcome, you know, to come along.
A relative of mine, a distant relative of mine, was a founder member of the club, Sammy Nugent, and I don't know. I think it's just
It's in the blood.
it's in the blood, yeah, yeah, it really is.
Get your ropes right.
In June, the WAG celebrates its century on water. And at the boat show this week, you can take a closer look at its famous life.